We'll begin our meeting today with
Wait,
Planning
wait.
Commission.
Wait,
Huh?
Hold on just a second.
Oh, get your Zoom on. You on?
There.
See, we got a camera, we got all this stuff we gotta do. Anyway, welcome to Planning Commission today, October 27th. Santa Clara, Utah. We're gonna get underway. We've got the full agenda today. We'll start with the pledge with Shelley Harris, and then I'll give the invocation.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we're thankful to gather here today as a few of our public servants gather and take care of our community, and we're thankful for our citizens and all those present today too. We thank Thee for the opportunity to serve in this beautiful community that we have, and we thank Thee for Thy hand in creating this great place to live. We pray for those that have presentations today, that all will be well with their meeting and our needs, and we'll be able to understand and take care of the needs of our community and representing our friends and neighbors. We thank Thee, Father, for the wonderful season, and pray for moisture to continue so that we can have what we need to harvest and take care of our situations. And we say things on Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right. Let's see what we got. Any special communications from the audience? Anybody have any special needs today? I see none, so we'll go on to the working agenda. We have public hearing. We have none. So boy, we're just flying through this. Let's go to general business. Item A, recommendation to City Council to consider site plan approval for Swoon Interior Design at 3086 Santa Clara Drive. April and Brian Hickman applicants. And we'll go to you, Jim, for your presentation.
Thank you. Let me just pull the site plan up here and we'll get going. Apologize, we're having a delay. So I'll go ahead and start talking and we'll wait for the site plan to come up. It was a large file that was sent, I think, by your designer. Yeah. See if we can get it here in just a second. I apologize. I just want everybody to be able to see it. You can see it's thinking about it. So here we go. Still thinking about it. We're getting close. I apologize for that, but it should be here in just a moment. It's thinking about it. There we go. And it's sideways. So let me. I think that's why the packet went out in 2 emails, because this was a
huge
large,
file.
a huge file. So I don't know Hickman's, April and Brian who created this, but it's a really large file. So here we go. Thank you for your patience. The applicants are April and Brian Hickman, and they're requesting site plan approval for Swoon Interior Design. The address is 3086 Santa Clara Drive, and that's an existing residence, a home that was used for many years as a primary residence. The main floor of this home is approximately 1,150 square feet. It has a partial basement, approximately 300 square feet used for storage. The size of this property is just under half an acre at 0.45. The subject property is zoned historic district mixed use. The proposed use of an interior design studio is a permitted use within this zoning district. This item was reviewed by the city's Heritage Commission on September 1st, 2022. The Heritage Commission approved the applicant's request to paint the outdoor trim and exterior doors a shade of blue while leaving the brick the original color. Also repairing and maintaining the existing wood shake shingle roof, as well as painting the shed on the property a matching color to tie in with the building. And so those items were approved. Now, if we go to chapter 1774, which is the historic district mixed use zone, it requires a site plan review. And it does talk about some specific things that I would like to hit in the staff report. And most of them, we're going to start here with the site plan itself. So I'll scroll down a little bit. And that's the reason we're here tonight. So I'd like to talk about the site plan layout and design. So the business access, we have a new business access that's proposed here. I'm pointing at it on the overhead. So on the west portion of the site, you can see the home located here. Here's the frontage on Santa Clara Drive with an existing driveway to that storage building or one-car garage that is existing on the property. The access will include a new concrete drive approach, which you can see. It's been tapered similar to a single-family home or new home. So that would be a concrete drive approach. However, the driveway itself, which is 27 feet wide, which meets our requirement, the minimum is 25, and the other areas, proceeding to the north portion of the site where there's some more parking, that would be a 4-inch road base with 3 inches of gray gravel like other businesses in this area. So with this being in the historic district and adjacent to similar businesses that have a situation like that, city staff is comfortable with allowing this. Garden Sprout, which is right next door, has that. Bodega, which is in the area and across the street, has that type of design. So our city staff is comfortable with that. They are required to do an ADA parking space with unloading areas on either side of the space and up to the ADA ramp. And that's required to be concrete. And you'll see that here. Here's the ADA parking space with the areas on either side, providing unloading and loading and access to the ramp itself. That's all in concrete. And parking spaces will be required to be 9 by 18 with parking space stops. So you can see the ones that are utilizing the different material, still meet the minimum size requirement and have the parking stops for the tires or vehicles. Going to the building design, it's really neat. I mean, it's a historic cottage and it's just glitching on me. You can see that. We'll rotate this clockwise as well. Wow. All right. Almost. There we go. So that's the design of the home. It's a period cottage. The home was built in 1936. The conversion of this home to a commercial use is allowed within the historic district mixed use zone. And as indicated previously, it did go through the Heritage Commission review process for changes to the exterior. The building design will now also include an ADA ramp, which is what I talked about just a moment ago. Anyways, the required parking, the project is required to have a minimum of 4 parking spaces for the square footage, being that it's a professional office use, 4 per 1,000 at 1,150 square feet. That would be 4 parking spaces. However, the applicant is proposing additional parking to the north, which would allow for 11 more employee and guest parking spaces behind the building. The project landscaping, it's pretty much what you see, but they are proposing some enhancements. Let me go back to this and see if we can get it to blow up. I apologize for this. Back to where we were at a second ago. It does include some landscaping. Those trees, that's pretty significant. Our Parks and Recreation Department wants to make sure that the 2 large sycamore trees along the property frontage remain, and they're proposing to do that. And really, the only thing is if they propose some new landscape materials, some bushes, some shrubs, some trees, they have to utilize our new standard with being dripped and not having a lot of lawn or sod areas, which they are not proposing to do anyways. And so we're good there. Outdoor lighting, I know that they submitted something. We talked about outdoor lighting. I think you had kind of a cool picture. Here we go. So I'm assuming that's a fixture that will be on the exterior of the building itself, and it looks like it's shielded and directed downwards. So you're not proposing any parking lot lights like a large commercial center of any type or strip retail. So we're good with that. And then project signage. We had talked about project signage. If this will allow me, you can see the swoon sign right here. It's really a quaint design. It's a decorative pole sign that meets the requirements of Chapter 1745 for signs within a historic district. Very small, it's 6 square feet. It'll be perpendicular to the road itself. So you'd see it if you're heading either east or west along Santa Clara Drive. So the signage is nice and we feel appropriate for the application itself. Seeing if I can get this to come up a little bigger again. Here we go, we'll get to it. So we're happy with that design. The planning commission, this agenda has been posted, and we meet all state code requirements for notification and posting of agenda for a public hearing. Planning staff is recommending that the planning commission forwards a positive recommendation for site plan approval to the city council for Swoon Interior Design located at 3086 Santa Clara Drive, subject to the 8 conditions as listed in the staff report. And so each one of the for the most part, it's the information that we discussed during the site plan review. And item number 8, which they're already working on because they do have a permit and they've been doing some work that's allowed under the permit without site plan approval, that they continue to work with our building official, Cody Mitchell, to be compliant with all building code requirements, being that it's a change of use from residential to commercial. So that's all I have. I'll turn it over to you, Chair Hendrickson, and the applicant's here to answer questions as well as myself. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. You got anything you want to add to that? I mean, it's pretty straightforward at this point. Any other details? Okay. Commission members?
I got a question about the handicap parking. My understanding that your first handicap stall needs to be a van accessible stall. And so I'm just wondering if they need to shift that over to create the van accessible. I'm just wondering why there's 2 5-foots on either side instead of one bigger one on one side.
I'll refer to Cody Mitchell, our building official, on that. Once we get the drawing to come up.
Check.
You're on.
Yes, so the one that needs to be provided needs to be van accessible and 11 feet wide.
11 feet. With a 5-foot aisle.
With the 5-foot access on that side?
Yes. Will you pull it up again?
I'm trying. We'll get a new one before council because they will not tolerate this. I'm just.
They're not as cool.
Here
Their
we
time's
go.
more important.
That's as good as I can get. It doesn't want to blow up at all,
Yeah.
Cody. There we go.
I
The
can't.
5-foot on the north side, I would assume, is the ramp, correct?
It's access to the ramp.
So the ADA parking stall is 11 feet right here.
Mhm.
Then 5 foot.
And then you have the 5 feet here, the walkway. What am I missing?
My recollection, it needed to be wider than that, but I can't remember the different.
11-foot on the
Different
handicap stall
jurisdictions
width.
have a different.
So you're thinking the
idea.
access ramp or the access space needs to be wider than 5?
No.
The space itself.
My understanding is that you have to have an 8-foot access aisle with a 9-foot wide space. And you can shrink the access aisle to 5 feet, but you still have to add up to the total of 17. I think that's what I was remembering. So that's why I was looking at that. I was like, they just need to, but the space is there because there's 5 feet on both sides. But that was my memory of a van accessible was 17 feet for the aisle and the space. I guess they have 16.
Yeah, my recollection is 11 with the 5-foot walk, but I can double check that. If we have to tweak it, I'm sure we.
It looks like it would fit because they have 5 foot on the other side anyway for the ramp or whatever, so.
I'm not familiar with that section or that detail of that code. So I wouldn't even have an idea. I haven't had that come into play on any of the things I've done recently.
I think that's something that city staff can discuss with them
Yeah.
or work on between now and it going to council as this zone requires. So.
Okay.
What size is the gravel that they're planning on putting on top of the road base? Is there like a,
I believe I mentioned that. It's with 3 inches of gray gravel like other businesses in the
No.
area. So I don't know the size. Maybe
like an
they know the
aggregate
size.
Sorry, I'm just, sometimes if you do the pea gravel, there's like more of a chance for it to like pick up into people's tires and stuff. So like,
I thought it was.
like a chat. That might be better than pea gravel.
So, you know, I just looked up on the ADA declaration site. Great minds think alike. They're 11 feet wide, access aisles for 5 feet. So we're on.
I found as well.
Anything else from
I like it.
Okay. Anybody want to entertain a motion for us tonight?
Try.
Shelley, you gotta have more confidence.
I move to recommend to the city council to consider the site plan for approval for Swoon interior design at 3086 Santa Clara Drive. Subject to the 8 conditions specified in the staff report. As they're stated.
I'll second that.
I have a first from Shelley Harris and a second from Ryan Anderson that we recommend approving this with the 8 conditions as staff recommendation shows. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We get a motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian and April. I mean, April and Brian, because April knows what she's doing on this one. We've joked about that. Yeah, that's what he says. So it's funny, but I know he does. I'll get in touch with you soon about your council date in about 2 weeks for final approval. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. We're excited to have it.
Thanks, guys.
A great addition. Okay, moving on.
All right.
We go to a sign or approval.
Yeah, and let me go to, so I am going to bring this up because this was my error. The sign drawings that I sent out to you in the packet don't match my staff report because originally they were looking at a little bit bigger signs. And now they've come down in size, even though the bigger signs would have been required by code, but now we're going a little bit smaller. So this is for Beans and Brews. As you know, this is at 3542 Rachel Drive, Suite 104 in the Harmon Center. This is the new Pad A that's been under construction for a while. Beans and Brew looks to be the first tenant, I believe, that will open. Roxbury Juice and Great Clips will be coming soon in this building as well. They're proposing 3 wall signs. As you know, our code allows for wall signs. They have to meet the provision of not exceeding 10% of the total square footage. And they do have to come to Planning Commission for approval within the PDC zone. So they are proposing 3 different wall signs. You can see the first here is the west elevation. This faces Rachel Drive. And that sign is proposed at 7,800 square feet. So it's a lot smaller than the 983 square feet that they show, or could potentially have 10% of that. Our next sign, this faces the interior or to the east. You would see this if you were in the Harmon Shopping Center looking straight at the building. So this will be the entry to the building itself. You can see that sign's just over 46 square feet in size. And then the third one, they've put north elevation here, but it's actually the south elevation because they are taking that in unit there that's on the south portion of the building. It's my understanding Great Cliffs will occupy the middle with a Roxbury on the north end. And so this one's just over 40 square feet in size. The one thing they all have in common, they all include illuminated white letters and smaller pin mounted white letters. And so it will be an illuminated sign, and that's understood. I wanted to show you, I can go back to where I was. Where did my presentation go? Sorry. I'll find it here. Give me just a second, folks. Here we go. Sorry. It's different presenting from here, and I know I keep saying that, but it's right here. Anyways, I wanted to show you some pictures of the site itself. I went out there. They've got a couple other signs here, such as a monument board sign, which we'll an order board sign. We'll talk about those later. Staff can approve those, and I will do that at a staff level. So this is from last week. You can see this is the front elevation of the building. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it, but I wanted you to have a chance to take a look at it. Really nice building. So that's the east elevation. This would be the south elevation where the drive-through is, facing the drive aisle towards Capriati's and Cafe Rio. And then this is the elevation that backs on to Rachel Drive itself. So those would be the three elevations where they're proposing to put their branding and their sign. We don't have any issues of concern. We do have a staff recommendation, which includes staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the proposed wall signs for the Beans and Brews located at 3542 Rachel Drive, Suite 104, subject to the conditions. We have four. The first one talks about the west sign being 78 square feet, the east sign being 46.5 square feet, the south sign being right around that 40 square feet and all three allow them to have the white illuminated letters that they're requesting and that they obtain a building permit prior to placement of the wall signs. And that's our recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the commission?
So on, maybe I'm mixing up the directions, but this particular one, the south sign does not note that they have to turn it off at night, but the next applicant's south facing sign.
Yes, this one is not an issue. This one for this particular sign, that's the next item. And we'll talk about that in a moment when we get to that one, because
Because of the proximity of the neighbors.
yes, the neighbors are right. And we've had some complaints there in the past. So, and they put a sign up without a permit. So there's a couple things there.
Yeah.
But this one's in a prime commercial center with commercial all around it. So,
Am I confused? Or your staff report says 46 and 40, but these signs on the graphics are larger?
yeah, that's why I went over the other graphics, because the one we sent out in the packet, that
Oh,
was the first submittal. And then we got a revised submittal. And this is the revised submittal right here with the sign sizes.
okay. So what I have on my computer is not the.
Yes, and that's my error. I didn't notice till this afternoon, a couple hours ago, that the wrong drawings went, because we had met with them and they said, hey, we're going to go with a little bit smaller signs. Let us get you the revisions. So that came a little bit later. Apologize for that, but what
Can I-
you'll see
Can I
is
see the
these
smaller
sides.
ones again?
What's that?
Can you scroll to the smaller ones again?
Yeah, this is the first one, at 78 square feet. This is the west elevation facing Rachel
That's what you
Drive.
see from the street, right?
Yes, that's Rachel. This is the second one, which is the east elevation that you would see from the shopping, the Harmon Center itself, if you're looking straight at the building.
Mhm.
The picture I just showed. So this one's quite a bit smaller at 46.5 square feet. And then this is the south elevation, where I showed you where the drive-through was. And that's the smallest sign at 40.25 square feet.
Just, they're just labeled wrong.
So it is quite a bit smaller than they could do. It's, you know, they said that that's what they need. This is what works and what they've done at other Beans and
That's
Brews.
consistent with what they've done elsewhere.
Yeah, this is their branding and what they've done in other sites. So I think they'll do great, you know, just
And
like
then,
anything in there. Roxbury will eventually too.
Right. I'm glad to see, I mean,
Yeah.
right off the directional signs, right off the things we've talked about with
Yes,
another recent app.
yes. And that's something that I'll review at a staff level to approve those directional signs, but the monument sign we'll talk about in a little bit here. Very similar to the wall signs that we discussed with the Allo Urgent Care recently, and we have another one on that building after this item. So as wall signs come to the Planning Commission for approval.
Anything else from the commission?
So is it on the drawing say Pioneer Park? Is it, but it's
On
located
Rachel.
on Rachel.
It's on Rachel. It's the center. They're taking the address from Harmon's.
The address is Pioneer Parkway.
Yeah,
It's
This
that
is
building, yeah.
this is that new building that's just south of the gas canopy, right there next to
Facing
Rachel.
towards Mountain America. The back of it. Anything else from the commission? Anybody have a motion?
And this one is Planning Commission approval.
Approval, yeah, not a recommendation.
I'll try. Planning Commission approves the wall signs for Beans and Brew located at 3542 Rachel Drive, Suite 104 in the Harmon Shopping Center.
Second,
I have a first from Ryan and a second from, that was pretty good, Shelley, from Shelley.
I wasn't sure.
All those in favor, say aye.
And he gave
Aye.
me the,
So we need to mention the conditions.
Well, I didn't know of any conditions. Were there some conditions?
Well, the four.
There are,
Four
there's
conditions.
four conditions, so you can,
With the
Four
four conditions,
recommendations.
four recommendations by city staff.
yes, and. I
So
second.
amended.
Yeah.
That work?
Yeah, I'm good.
All righty.
I think we need, can we get a vote?
We get a vote?
Yeah.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hey, I'm a rookie. You know,
No, you're doing great.
all right, let's move to the next one. Number 2 for Royal Thai Express.
Okay. All right, so the applicant here is Quinn Hadley. This is Turnbow Signs. They're the same applicant that did the signs for Aloe Care, the Aloe Urgent Care in this building. Let me go ahead and pull up the signs. And you've probably seen these because they are on the building. And they did not get a permit. And so we've asked that they come to us and apply and get a permit. They're doing that before they can get a CO to occupy the building. I think they're looking to move in the next few weeks. Cody could give you an update on that, but we're getting really close. So it's exciting to have a new place to eat. They're proposing 2 wall signs. These wall signs are in compliance with the code. They do not exceed 10% of the square footage of the wall area. Each one of them is 48 square feet in size or 4 by 12. The code would allow up to 72 square feet for these 2 wall signs. So the elevation, the front elevation, which faces south, has an illuminated wall sign. And that is our concern. You can see here on the right panel that says night view. You can see that illumination, and that would face to the south. And so city staff's recommending that the sign be turned off nightly at the close of business or no later than 10 p.m. I spoke with a representative of the company a few days ago, and they said their client's fully aware of that. And they've been told by the owner of the building of that dynamic or that issue in this area. And they're more than happy to comply with that condition of approval. And also, like I said, wall signs, they put them up without a permit. So I think, you know, I've got a condition that addresses that issue. If the planning commission agrees, I think it would be best to have put that limitation in place. And this is the back view sign. This is the sign that you see from the street. So I'll just go to my pictures. So in front of the building, if you're standing right in front, this is what you see. It is internally illuminated, so the white and red comes through at night. And the same is the case here for the Royal Thai Express. So planning staff recommends that the planning commission approve the proposed wall signs for the Royal Thai Express and located at 3663 Pioneer Parkway, Suite 3, subject to the following conditions, and I'll go through those on this one. Item 1, that the 2 wall signs north and south do not exceed 48 square feet in size per wall. 2, that the front elevation wall sign facing south, which is illuminated red and white, be turned off nightly at the close of business or no later than 10 p.m. 3, the rear elevation north street side wall sign be allowed to be illuminated with red and white lettering. We don't have that concern on the street side facing Pioneer Parkway. And 4, that a building permit be applied for and obtained prior to obtaining CO with the building department as the signs were placed on the building without a permit. That's all we have for this one, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions from commission members? I have one.
Mhm.
Do they have to pay a penalty because they didn't get a permit? Is there any kind of consequence like that, or?
Cody?
I'll bet you gave them a good time.
I'm just grateful to see the permit come through, the application for approval. So,
And they didn't fight us on a CO that they came in and did it.
yeah, it's strange. I thought there would be, that this would be, their CO would be hinged on this application, and they haven't requested a CO at this time. So
So they know they need to get it taken care of.
they know, well, we brought it their attention probably 6 to 8 weeks ago. And we just saw, I mean, we're just now receiving.
This came in after last planning commission in the last, well, it hasn't been, it's been over a week, but it's been
Yeah.
between last meeting and this meeting. Yes.
Interesting.
Who's the builder?
Big Tree is the TI contractor.
Big tree.
But when I brought it to his attention, he says, this isn't my deal. So I'm not sure who made application.
I came from Turnbow Signs and that may have come from the owner of the building.
Yeah, so yeah, it wasn't part of George's contract, George's Big Tree
Yeah.
construction.
Yeah, George is pretty thorough too.
So the signs you see on this rear elevation are what you're going to get because AlloCare took two spaces, two units. So yes.
Any other questions there?
I did look up their business operation in St. George. And, you know, they open for lunch and then they close for a little bit and then they open for dinner. But I saw that they're generally closed no later than 9:30 p.m. So this 10 p.m. should be perfectly fine. And they said they would agree with that. So
Do we have a motion?
I got it. I move that we recommend I move that we approve the proposed wall signs for the Royal Thai Express located at 3663 Pioneer Parkway, Suite 3, subject to the conditions that as outlaid in the staff report.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Logan and a second from Ryan to approve the wall signs for Royal Thai Express located at 3663 Pioneer Parkway. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we do have one item for discussion Jim has brought to my attention regarding my question about monument signs.
thank you. Chair Hendrickson, we talked about this at the last meeting and maybe the meeting before that about if wall signs in a planned development commercial or PDC come to the planning commission for review, why don't monument signs? And so staff's taking a look at that and we agree that that is something that we should change our code to where the wall signs that you've reviewed tonight, as well as monument signs for a building come to planning commission for review and approval. And so I just have this one pager I'd like to go through with you a little bit. We've brought it to you first. We're likely to go to the council of the work meeting in December, the beginning of the month to have a discussion with them as well. So just the bullet points here, chapter 1744, 110 monument signs. I'll just go through those. The first one says city staff would recommend that monument signs in a planned development commercial zone require planning commission approval. The second bullet point, we talk about changes to allowable monument sign heights. Now in the mixed use or historic districts, like we discussed with the Swoon project, those are limited to 6 feet in height. But currently a monument sign with a height of 10 feet is allowed in the PDC zone. And so I've been concerned a little bit about that with a monument sign being that tall. Recently O'Reilly's has built their building. They did their monument sign. I asked them to do a 6-foot sign to match the Dollar Tree and some of the others in the area. They refused. And basically, in my opinion, they've used the 10 feet to get their sign up out of the ground because the sign face itself is only about 4 feet, 4 feet by 10 feet. And the other 6 feet is just the cinder block, you know, to get the sign higher from grade. And so the idea here is city staff would like the PC and city council consider a reduction in height by allowing for a height of up to 8 feet for a monument sign rather than the existing 12. City staff would recommend changing to the allowable square footage of a monument sign, which is currently allowed up to 100 square feet. We'd like the PC and council to consider a reduction to 80 square feet rather than 100 square feet. Now tonight, these are just talking points. These are just bullet points for discussion. And that's still a considerable amount of area for a monument sign. A lot of jurisdictions limit a monument sign to 6 feet. I'm not sure I want to go that far unless I'm directed to do so. And generally that face is 5 by 10. So they get 50 square feet because they have to have a 1 foot base, you know, to match the building. And so we'd like to see that as well. I'd like to add a provision about a minimum base height of 1 feet. So sometimes they'll come in with 2 feet, sometimes it's 1, but if we have a nice brick or stone or whatever the material is of the building. It's really nice to see the base of the monument sign with that material that blends into the landform. Doesn't look like it's hovering, that it's kind of, been designed for the site with the landscape material around it. And so by doing that, that really helps the sign blend in with the building itself. It looks like, they took the design of the building and then created a monument sign that goes better with the building. The base would be required to run the entire horizontal length of the sign and would not be allowed to contain any sign copy. And then here, the base shall be designed to blend in with any proposed berming or contouring of the property. And then we'd recommend a new provision limiting the sign area of a monument sign to not exceed 7 feet in vertical height. So if the sign itself is 8 feet, the allowance, and the base is 1 foot, you could have 7 foot height of sign face. But the total area would be a maximum of 80 square feet rather than the 100 square feet. Now, I'm just putting these numbers out there for now. There could be changes with more discussion, but it just seems rather large. Now, the code currently is worded in such a way that if someone comes in and would like to have a larger monument sign that could be taller or bigger, it can go through planning commission review and go through a process. Bucks Ace is kind of familiar because they did a bigger sign. They did the 2 monument sides with the board. The electronic, I'm sorry, the EMC, the electronic message center on theirs, and that was allowed at 10 feet. Kind of seemed appropriate for, it's not a big box, it's not a mid box, but it's about 25,000 square feet or whatever that square footage is. It seems like that works for that particular sign. But for a business that comes in like an O'Reilly's or a Dollar Tree or someone else, it seems like this is more than appropriate, pretty big. I don't want to be as limiting as I've seen other sign codes and ones that I've enforced in the past. This is where I'm starting, and we'll see where this goes. So this is the monument sign part. The second part are menu boards. And this is something I've dealt with in other communities. Our sign code currently doesn't have any provisions or requirements for menu boards, but all these businesses want menu boards. So I've been having to work with the Swigs and the Malbettas and the Quenchets to figure out a menu board size. And what we've come up with is 24 square feet. So if you go over to Swig and you go over to Malbetta's right now, those are 24 square feet in size, those menu boards where you pull up. And then the one they put on the wall for Quenchit is that size as well. And so that's what we're saying. 24 square feet seems to be a good size, and you can have 2 of them. So, McDonald's has 2. A lot of the different drive-through restaurants want 2 menu boards, especially in the case where they have the 2 drive-throughs that merge into one. Now, the one thing I'm saying a maximum sign height of 6 feet. I think I'm going to change that to 8, and I'll tell you the reason why. A lot of the menu boards I see have a base that sticks out of the ground a couple feet, and then they put the sign menu board on it. And that's generally like the one we saw tonight, or the one that was in the package that doesn't require your review from Beans and Brews, was 5 foot tall. But then they have a base of 18 to 24 inches, kind of a metal base to get it out of the ground. So I think I'll go back to 8 feet on that, or maybe word it in that way where they get 6 feet of sign area, but they can have a total height of 8 feet, including, that base to get them up out of the ground a little bit. But we don't want it too big, too high, too large, especially we don't want it located on a site that could create a visibility issue or impair traffic. We have to look at those, but they all want them. And if we don't put limits on them, we're going to get a lot more than we want. And there's nothing in the code that addresses it right now. So it's really a stretch, and I've worked with some of the businesses to get ones that are functional and aren't too large and seem to be in good size and scale, but I'd like to put something in our code on those. It's pretty common, but it's something that we're lacking at this point in time.
It's a good start. And I think that it's something that needs, and I hadn't even occurred to me about menu boards, and when you stop and think about the size of those and where they can be placed, they can be really obnoxious.
Yeah. And I think is plenty, because they have directional signs, drive through, exit, entry, and those are limited to 3 square feet. And most we get are 1 by 2 anyways, they know, but they're going to do those. going into the drive-through and then exiting the drive-through. And then you have the menu boards themselves. So
Any feedback from the commission?
what do you think?
I think this is great.
Good. Yeah, I want to be fair with the business community. I don't want to be too limiting, but I'm just concerned with some of the size out there right now. Now, if someone came in with a shared monument sign, that's another thing we'll have to talk about. A good size shared monument sign for a shopping center. That's something we need to look at too, but that's more of a Harmon style shopping center that comes in with a big sign. Mark, are you kind of familiar with some of those?
Yeah, and I'm not sure we're gonna see.
Not sure we want them or gonna see them.
Don't know that we have roads that big that would warrant
Right.
a sign.
The EMC, if it's done tastefully, but I just don't want everything turning into EMC. That kind of concerns me. I've worked with police chief in the past that just didn't want those. And he was so upset that the city eventually allowed the EMCs because he felt that it promoted rubbernecking and rear ending. That you didn't catch it. So you're going to see the backside of it as you keep going. And it is what it is. But a lot of the businesses, Walgreens, they're changing to that. They're changing to that EMC face. So,
Well, as the technology gets cheaper, we're gonna see more and more of it.
yeah. That's all I have on this. Now I'm going to send an email out with this to the commissioners who couldn't make it tonight. I'll CC you folks as well. And we'll see if we get any other comments. I hope you're all right with that, just to give them an opportunity as well. So, thanks.
Thank you. It's good to get a lot of these little loose ends cleaned up, in my opinion, for more reasons than one.
And I see this coming back to you in January. We'll try to get it through pretty quick. I think the council's really going to like it as well, because they've asked for some changes as well.
Yeah.
So, but it came from the planning commission. So thank you for requesting it.
Great. Moving on, do we have, anybody have any comments on the minutes from our last commission meeting? It's nice to look at that attendance.
No one excused.
No one excused. I read through these. I didn't see anything. Anybody see anything of concern? Okay, motion, anybody?
I move to approve the minutes of the October 13th Planning Commission meeting for Santa Clara as presented.
Second.
I have a first from, my gosh, my brain just went totally blank. Isn't that terrible to get old?
Scroll up to
I know who you are, Shelley, and a second from Logan to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
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 We have a motion.
I have one item, Chair,
Okay.
where you adjourn just about scheduling and PC dates.
Okay.
In November, we're scheduled for the 10th and 24th. The 24th is Thanksgiving this year, so we're not going to have a meeting on the 24th right now. We're just planning on a November 10th meeting. We also have a conflict in December. Right now on the calendar, we'd be scheduled for December 8th and December 22nd. On December 8th, we have a city Christmas party. And so there's a conflict. So I'm looking to do a meeting on December 15th. If we had to do another meeting in December, we could do the 1st maybe, but I'm not anticipating that. Could be that December 15th just has a number of items on it and we get through the agenda. But if you're okay, I'm fine with just having one meeting in November and one in December as we get through the holidays. So.
I wouldn't be here on the 8th, anyway, being at the NFR, so.
Okay. And I'll include that in the email that I send out to the other commissioners that weren't here tonight. So thank you.
The 10th and the 15th.
We're going to meet on November 10th and December 15th. Yes. And, the other 22nd, there's a lot of people that got a lot going on by that time. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. With that, I think we stand adjourned.
Thank you. Oh, let me end the recording.